another moo? Moo? Yes? All right.
Cows, farms,
All right, let's do a moo.
Yeah, you want to do it? You want me to do it?
No, I think you should do it.
All right.
Just a moo.
All right. All right. On three. 1, 2, 3. I didn't win. I'm asking for a different belief about lung capacity. I was a member of Jane's ESP class from December 72 till the end of classes in 75. Okay, so Seth comes through, and that vibe was really unlike anything ever I had experienced. And the only word that works to try and explain it was alien, you know. And, you know, it was just, you know, wow, what is this all about? And I'm trying to, you know, really focus on her, but it's kind of hard to do that without talking about, you know, me and my relationship with her. But basically, bottom line is that evening changed my life. And I remember being completely terrified at the end of the night, more so actually than I was terrified when Seth first came through. Well, just the way his voice would come across, sometimes it sounded like he was yelling. He wasn't yelling. He was getting his point across. And when he would do it, the walls would shake a little bit. And that was a little disturbing for me at that point. And, you know, as the evening went along, I started to, you know, realize that, you know, this is one that, you know, this is like entirely magic. You know, this is, you know, I'm seeing something here that, you know, I'm not going to see anywhere else. And at the end of the class, I walked over to Jane and shaking like a leaf. But no, I had been calm by that point. But at one point, towards the end of the evening, I was like, I better, you know, I wanted to come back. So I went to Jane, and I was kind of like, you know, doing my best shuffle and looking lost and sad and young and stupid, and said, you know, can I come back next week? And she graciously said, oh yeah, anytime, you know, you're welcome. And that was the beginning of, you know, one of the greatest adventures of my life, which, you know, every day it's still right there. And I know without question that if it wasn't for Seth and Jane and Rob, that I would have disappeared like at 25, you know. You know, the road I was on wasn't leading to a lot of healthy places. You know, there was a chunk of my life where I just kind of burned out on looking at my beliefs and writing down my dreams and taking responsibility for creating my reality. And I just wanted to be an alcoholic cowboy. That was like, yeah, that makes sense, you know. You get a wife, drive a pickup truck, drink, be a nice guy, go to the rodeos. Yeah, there's not too much to ask for. And I just thought, you know, there'd be a certain level of peace involved in that.
But then that nasty thing about that door I kicked open in my psyche that Seth said, no, that door's not going to close. You opened it, you know. And it just always would come back to the material. And, recently, last year and a half or so, it's been just kind of bubbling up in me, and you pick up the material and you start reading it again, and you're like, God, I read this book like 4 times. I know this thing inside out. And 10 pages into the book, you realize this is completely a different book than the last time I read it, because you've changed. And I really do think Seth has little gremlins running around changing the lines of type in all the copies of our books all the time, to try to get us to think about different things and evolve. And this thing just there seemed to be a void, and I just thought, if I can help fill that void, if I can help get people together to think about the material and talk to each other about the material and reinforce each other, because for quite some time I really was alone. I for whatever reason, I created a reality where, my core beliefs were just, not fitting in with anybody else that I wasn't really in touch with. And it really sucks. So, once I got, around the Bay Area community of Sethies, it was like, all these doors started opening again for me, and all this energy started coming, and realizations and wicked wicked like wicked good, dreams, and a lot of really positive, good stuff, and why it's happening right now, I really do think something's coming. I think there's a reason that there's a resurgence in people thinking about the material. I mean, when I went to one of the printers to get some flyers for the conference printed up, and this actually wasn't a printer. I went to the guy who was going to distribute the posters for us. And a guy kind of my age, he kind of looked and said, "Yeah, that looks really interesting. I read that stuff like 35 years ago, and it was really good stuff. And I looked at him and I said, "It's still really good stuff." And he kind of was like, "Yeah." And with luck, he dusted off his copy of Personal Reality that night, and he's sitting there looking at it, going, This is a different copy than the one I read last time." I was hoping to kind of balance this talk off between stuff that we got out of class, and then kind of intersperse it with nut job car rides, very near death car accidents or close to car accidents. One quick one, and then I'll let Bobby get back up. We had a really spectacular class. Seth came through a whole lot. Samari had come through a whole lot. There was lots and lots of energy. And we're driving back. We're in Richie's car. We're in the Duster, and I'm in the back. And somebody had read some book and said something about, the out-of-body, the silver cord or the golden cord or the titanium cord or whatever the hell it is that's supposed to attach you to, if you believe in that thing. And I was kind of thinking, I was dozing off and I was thinking about that. And I was like, what cord? Yes. Because I out of all of my out-of-bodies, I had never really experienced anything like that. So kind of thinking about that, and I lay down, bam, I'm out of body. And I'm like paragliding. I'm like way the hell up in the air, looking down at Route 17 and the Duster. And we're driving. And there's a cord going from me to the car. And I'm like, oh man. And then I thought about it for a second. I said, no, that's not that cord. I'm a kite. And that's why I'm having that. And it was really a pretty spectacular out of body, because it was one of those out of bodies where you could like feel the snow on your face and stuff like that. It was just kind of like, wow, this is different, But of course, once I started thinking about what was going on instead of just enjoying it and going with it, I was back in the chair, and I kind of like, guys, you should check this out. And I look, they're all kind of sleeping, driver's cranky, and I can go back to sleep. I think I'm going to do the helper story, which is one of my favorites. Besides Seth 2 and Samari and Seth, one of Jane's critters, for lack of a better term, she called helper. And basically, it was just that. It was an energy that she sent out to help people who were maybe ill or in some situation where they just kind of maybe needed an influx of energy. And when Jane realized like how nuts Francois was, at one point she decided, I should send helper down there, to save the boys, because the boys are getting all this weird influence, and they're young and dumb and going to make big mistakes with their lives. So she sends helper. So Francois is walking down the street and drops dead. Now, I'm sure that helper didn't really have a whole lot to do with that, unless maybe helper said, dude, maybe it would be a better thing for you to like move on to like another level of reality, and you could work your stuff out a little better. But of course, some of us thought, don't piss off helper. Write that one on your arm. You don't want to do that. The bottom line to what I was saying was that the spectrum of communication that Seth was capable of was pretty astonishing. It's because the loud, powerful, almighty Oz / Seth was, that really kind of stands out in your mind and probably in all of our experiences. But I've seen him be so loving and tender and touching that I just wanted you guys to know that it wasn't all, the big, loud, kind of scary guy. There was also a very sweet teacher in there. That we survive, our bodies dying. That there was no question from that point on that we survive death. And it was a pretty cool gift. And yeah, so obviously I liked Samari, and that was some pretty special stuff. And when you hear some of the tapes, when you hear some of the CDs, and you hear Samari, it's sometimes it helps if you remind yourself that, Samari's not just kind of a lot of the times Samari would, come through and just kind of sing a song to the room, and that was it. But very often it was Samari would come through and they would focus on different people in the room, and the voice would change and the tone and the vibe, and it was very, very, very personalized. And, you really, if you were listening and you had a little knack for it, it was like, you really felt like you were given a very special gift. Actually, I'm feeling brave and not shy right now, so I'm going to do this. Besides Tuesday nights, Jane and Rob had a thing on Friday nights where they would have just close friends over and basically sit around and drink. And I finally, after however many years of going, doing the Elmira 500, I just was just kind of like, I just can't do this anymore. This is killing me, And again, I'm a puppy. I'm, 26 years old or something, at 25, and I'm like, oh, this is too hard on me, But I moved up, and 2 months later, she canceled classes, or 3 months later, something like that. No, but I moved there before I knew she was moving. I don't think I would have moved up there, because it wouldn't have.
They paid cash on the house.
Yeah. But at any rate, so I'm there one Friday night, and we're getting drunk. And normally Friday nights they hardly, Seth would hardly even be mentioned, or class. It was your typical neighborhood gossip stuff, and, just friends hanging out. And I was going through something was going on in my life that was kind of difficult. And Jane said, I'm going to give you a song. And I was like, what the hell is that, And she said, whenever you're really like in a jam, like a psychic jam, or any kind of, when you're in trouble, do this. It's my song, so I don't know if it's going to do anything for anybody else. But again, there's this person who's this wide, right? This tiny little woman, and this voice comes out, and she looks at me and she goes, Luea! Luea! Ma! And I'm like, okay. All right. And, I'm looking around the rest of the room, and everybody's kind of like, oh yeah, well, that's what happens on Fridays, and not very often, but it did. And actually, that song has helped me out in a number of occasions. It's been a privilege to bring this stuff to you, and thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming here, all the guests. All the speakers and all the attendees. Namaste. Thank you so much. And I hope you come to the next one. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Be Samari until then. Happy trails to you till we meet again.